Welcome to the Nerd Rundown Presents. Something I'm very excited to do is relaunch this show for you all and present it in a way that makes it its own show, but still falls under the Nerd Rundown banner. A couple years ago when we launched this show, I talked about this a little bit ago on last week's rundown, but as you do on the Presents, a little bit more of a deep dive here. We launched the show. We wanted to always do the rundown, which, covers the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. And then, we'd throw a topic or a theme in at the end of the show. It was a lot of fun, whether it be Die Hard or Lost or toys. Our Maker show was one of our last shows that had a theme within the show. But as the show grew and evolved and got bigger, the need for a second show came about, and so we had to make a decision what we were going to do. The decision was to always do the rundown. Rundown is kind of the staple. It's the chance for us to let you guys know what's going on in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. But the central theme of our show being that everybody's a nerd in their own way. We all love to nerd out about one topic. Well, we probably love to nerd out about lots of topics, but here on the show, it's easier if it's just one topic. And so we decided to launch the Nerd Rundown Presents. And some people have asked me in the past, what does that mean? Well, it's the Nerd Rundown presenting you a topic. Doesn't get any more simple of an explanation than that, but it really is just, again, hey, do we want to do a movie review or a TV show review or play a game? Meg's really good about coming up with games. It's just a chance to separate it from the rundown, have a little fun, and dive into a world of pure imagination. You'll know why I'm saying that here in a few minutes. It's important that I give you the backstory and the why behind, it sounded like Christopher Walken. The why. Can't do it again. Anyway, the why behind the Presents. As a nerd, if we get the chance to nerd out about one topic, there's almost nothing better than that. And that's what we're going to be doing on the Presents. And we want to hear from you too. If you have a certain topic that you want us to nerd out about along with you, then let's do that. So when it comes to being a nerd, is there anything better than using your imagination? It's what we do, right? You lay down in bed, you close your eyes, you put yourself in an action movie or a sports movie or whatever it might be. And if you're not doing that, it's probably normal and you should feel okay about it. But if you're like me and you close your eyes and you put yourself into a world of imagination, then that's what being a nerd is all about. And we want to do that on a more consistent basis. We have the recap show going. We probably won't be doing the Presents unless something big comes up, and hell, we'll do it if we need to, or if we want to, or if this situation arises, then we'll do a Presents. But this is probably the thing I'm pretty excited about reactions. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this Presents. Enjoy the new intro, and we'll see you all in a world of pure imagination. Hey nerds, welcome to the Nerd Rundown Presents. 2 movies at the same time. I'm Darren Stimple, and with me is one of the biggest nerds I know, Erik here.
Hello, nerds.
Welcome back to the Nerd Rundown Presents. We just, if you're watching this for the first time, you may be watching that new intro for the first time. So that's pretty damn exciting stuff. Thank you, Jason Sparks, for scoring the new intro as well.
Yeah, terrific.
Pretty cool.
Terrific as always.
Yes, terrific as always. Thank you, drgraffix on Fiverr. Big shout out for animating that.
Yeah. If you need any type of animation stuff, that Fiverr group is really
it's
good.
The place to be. And, it's affordable,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because this stuff ain't free. But I when I was talking with him about the intro, I was like, this is a show where we deep dive into a topic and we get transferred, into a place of imagination at times. And I was like, can you just draw this guy from our logo getting transported up into, somewhat feeling like you're going through a multiverse, and then you land in the world of the Nerd Rundown Presents, and that's a world of pure imagination, if you ask me.
Yeah, right.
So I think he encapsulated that very well there. So you may have caught it on the rundown, and if you didn't, this is your first time, Please like and subscribe. Hit the bell when you want to get notified that we post a new show. We're going to try out some new release schedules, kind of keep some engagement throughout the week. So liking where things are going. And I'm really excited about this topic, Erik, as we kind of do a little bit of a relaunch reboot. I know you're not a big fan of reboots, so we won't call it a reboot. We'll call it a comeback or something. It's the Nerd Rundown Presents Comeback right here. The topic, 2 movies.
Like, Kim Kardashian?
she I can't say I can't say that on air. We'll get knocked off YouTube. Go check out bloopers from
Parks and Rec. Kim Kardashian, you'll love it. You'll laugh.
He's got an amazing blooper reel, Chris Pratt on Parks and Rec. Anyway, so kind of in the vein of Parks and Rec and The Office being the same thing, Hollywood has decided to make the same movie twice in the same, whether it's a calendar year or single year at times. They made the same movie twice. Like, what is that about, Erik?
Yeah, well, actually, Stacy and I were talking about that. I said our episode this week is going to be 2 movies at the same time, and she goes, I don't even know what that means. And I'm like, well, I said, every once in a while, Hollywood will do 2 movies that are exactly the same, just different cast, and the writing is, a little bit different. But for the most part, it's the same movie. And I gave the example. Our first one as an example, Friends with Benefits and No Strings Attached. It's like 2 dating movies about that type of stuff, and we're
Friends with Benefits.
So Friends with Benefits. It's like, all right,
aptly named.
Yeah. So
what we'll talk about today is we put together a list of 15 of these instances. It's not every instance, and there's some carryover with TV shows doing the same thing. We're not gonna. We have a bit of some guidelines to this. Okay, so again, no TV. We try to stay away from animation. There's a couple glaring examples that you have to put on the list.
Yeah.
No horror movies, because I feel like every horror movie is the same anyway. It's the same purpose, it's another demon movie. Like, how are you going to make that original?
Yep.
And they had to be within 12 months of each other. So there's been some other movies that were pretty similar that were released 10 years apart. Doesn't count. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So in the rundown, go check it out on YouTube. Like and subscribe. We did give the example of Friends with Benefits and No Strings Attached, and we couldn't remember which one was which. And this is part of the problem, Hollywood, right? They mix together. So the Friends with Benefits one with Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis.
Yes.
That one was actually more of the surprise hit than the No Strings Attached kind of. I wouldn't say bomb, but it didn't do as well as Friends with Benefits.
Well, cast wise, you got 2 people that are known for being actors, like Ashton Kutcher and
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman, she's like a big deal, Oscar winner, all that stuff, and Mila Kunis, 2 70s show alums starring in these same type of movies
who are now married.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Actually.
So that's actually kind of funny. And then JT, Justin Timberlake.
Oh man,
really wasn't known for his acting stuff, but it was just a better movie.
Yeah,
it was a better written movie. It was funnier and
more heart.
Yeah, more heart to it. Yeah. So
kind of JT's coming out party as an actor. Like we were like, oh, this guy can act.
Yeah,
I like
he's
him
actually. Yeah, you could actually kind of put it together. You're like, all right, well, I could see him, in other stuff and be all right with it. So
I was gonna look up the year because I forgot to put that on here. Friends with Benefits. There's a few movies. There's actually so it's 2011, and then there's another Friends with Benefits in 2011. What is this? This looks like it was
the musical version.
It was a TV show in the same year. So, good thing we can Good thing we can not worry about that, because that didn't last long. All right, so that one was a good one to start off with, because it was the example in the rundown. And it was a good example of why Hollywood shouldn't do this, because they just run together. Now, of course, there's examples on this list where both movies are good.
Yeah.
Both movies could be, usually on this top 15, you'll see there's a trend. At least one of them is good.
Yeah.
There's some honorable mentions at the end that are like both of them are bad. so I mean, dishonorable and dishonorable. Yeah.
Dishonorable. Yeah.
Almost said.
I will go back. I do want to talk over you real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
One part.
Only if I get to talk over you right now. No.
I don't believe that JT's coming out was
with,
and only because if you didn't see him in The Love Guru as Jacques,
that's right. I forgot about it. That really probably was his coming.
So funny in The Love Guru, and then also he also was in The Social Network, which was before that. Which he actually was really, really good in The Social Network.
That was kind of his okay, this dude can act for show.
Yeah.
I think this is where it showed his range as a. I mean, he was really funny. Okay, he was really, really funny in a otherwise not so funny movie.
The Love Guru. It was not Mike Myers' best, but there were parts to it where you're like, oh my gosh, so good.
Sorry. That may have been no, it's okay. I don't want to be inaccurate, and especially when it comes to JT. You know, he's one of our
favorites.
He's one of our favorites.
No.
Okay, so on this list, the top 15, at least one will be good. Sometimes both are good, and in this instance, and this is also kind of breaking a rule of staying away from animation, but you cannot talk about this topic without talking about this duo, A Bug's Life and Ants.
Yes.
So A Bug's Life was Pixar's magical movie. You know, just like Pixar was in their ascension at that time.
They had done Toy Story, I think was the only thing they'd done prior to it. Yeah, I think Toy Story was... I
thought there was one other movie in there, but I knew it was early days as they were ascending.
Yeah. I think... who I need to look at is John Ratzenberger. I need to look at his IMDb because
he's in all of them.
You can just look and see what
the order of Pixar movies.
The order of Pixar movies. So just look at John Ratzenberger.
Yeah.
He'll tell you.
So the interesting lead on A Bug's Life, Dave Foley, who very, very funny actor
from Kids in the Hall.
Yes, and News Radio as well.
He was on News Radio, yeah.
Oh, man, I miss Phil Hartman so much.
With Phil Hartman and Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, yeah, that's right. So Flick was the main guy, David Foley, but Kevin Spacey was the main villain. And he was
Bug's Life was number 2. Bug's Life was number 2.
It was the second one, huh?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's like, okay, you get up to bat, your first at bat, boom, grand slam, right?
Right.
You get up to your second at bat, boom, three-run home run, maybe even a grand slam. I mean,
I am known for saying you can't hit home runs every time, but I gotta tell you, Pixar sure
gets close.
Sure did. Yeah, I mean, because. Wait, here's your lineup: Toy Story, Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, Toy Story 3, Cars 2, Brave, Monsters University, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur. I think Good Dinosaur is probably your first swing and miss, and that was
it's an underrated
years.
It's an underrated movie, though.
It is an underrated movie. I actually liked it a lot, but I think if you say it's probably their first. Maybe
it wasn't a massive success,
right?
That's very fair to say.
20 years after they started making movies,
and I mean, I guess it's not.
And that came out during the pandemic too, didn't it? No, 2015. Sorry,
yeah,
2015. Yeah.
I feel like the pandemic also hurts a little bit, or hurt Pixar a lot, I should say, because Luca is such an I feel like that just kind of went by the wayside for Pixar, but it's an incredible movie. I like it way more than Encanto.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at so just from a historical perspective, Ants is DreamWorks' first animation that they did.
Okay.
So Pixar at least had Toy Story to work with, and had done several short films.
Wow.
And so Ants was its first animation.
Yeah.
And for it to be at the same time as A Bug's Life, that's hard. That's a tough one.
And there's nerds on both sides, right? I know Banana, she loves A Bug's Life and thinks Ants is trash, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree with her, but yeah.
I love Ants.
Do you really? Yeah.
I love Ants.
Well,
I love Sylvester Stallone. I love I know he's a disgusting human, but he's really great in this movie. Woody.
Woody Harrelson?
No, the director. Married his stepdaughter. Kind of a nerd. Wears his glasses. Why can't?
Woody Harrelson? Or no, Woody.
I know. What is his name?
Woody Allen.
Yes, Woody Allen. Thank you, Kish.
Yeah, okay.
I know. Once you said Harrison, I also anyway.
Yeah.
He's great as the as the lead voice in this. That the reluctant hero. The bad guys are really good in Ants. It's more adult. They cuss in it. It's a little bit darker humor, more adult humor. I would rather watch Ants. If I was like by myself and I was like, somebody was like, pick a movie to watch by yourself. You have to watch one of these movies. I would pick Ants.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
But A Bug's Life it's amazing.
See, I love A Bug's Life.
It's amazing.
I love Kevin Spacey's Hopper is awesome. Like he's so great. And then his sidekick, I can never remember who the dude is, but his sidekick in there is just hilarious. He just makes me laugh every time because he's got such a great voice for everything. I'm trying to think what his name is. I'm
on Ants right now. So let me talk about this cast real quick because
all right.
Woody Allen, you got Woody Allen as the lead. Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman, that's the main villain. Mandible, he was great. No, what was Mandible?
Richard Kind.
Sylvester Stallone was amazing, very, very comedic in the movie. Dan Aykroyd never fails.
Yeah.
Danny Glover, Jane Curtin, Jennifer Lopez, John Mahoney. John Mahoney you would know from Frasier's dad. Christopher Walken. So very good cast. I would defend that movie against A Bug's Life, but not to the death. Like I love A Bug's Life. Yeah. So
well, I'll see that cast and I will will raise it.
Okay.
So Dave Foley as Flick, the
Yep.
main character. Kevin Spacey as your primary villain in Hopper. Richard Kind as Molt, his sidekick.
Yeah.
And then you have Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Princess Ada.
Yeah.
Hayden Panettiere as Dot, the little
Save
girl.
the cheerleader. Save the world.
Dennis Leary as Francis, a ladybug. He played the ladybug, which was
very
dynamite. Like that
very
was
good.
so awesome.
Very good.
Have him.
Yeah.
Let's see, David Hyde Pierce, so another Frasier alum, as Slim, the walking stick. You had Madeline Kahn as Gypsy. I mean, Madeline Kahn, for God's sake, she just like wrote the book on comedy. Bonnie Hunt as Rosie the Spider.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then you have John Ratzenberger as P.T. Flea. Brad Garrett as Dim, the rhinoceros beetle. Brad Garrett has one of those voices.
Oh gosh,
that's just
perfect.
It's exactly. It's so perfect.
It's so
good.
Him
and Ratzenberger just have terrific voiceover voices.
Oh, it's just good,
really,
great
really
voices in general. I mean, and he does great comedy. He's got great comedic timing with his voice. So yeah, that's a good voice. Good voice cast.
I will disagree with you. I will disagree with you on this one, and I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, a simple no would have been fine. So the question is, okay, so they get made at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, does Pixar like, okay, this is our next movie, and some like interns like, yo, DreamWorks, they're gonna make a bug movie. Make a bug movie for your first. Like, how does that happen? You know?
Yeah, I really don't know. That would be an interesting. That would be an interesting documentary if somebody wanted to do something like how do you figure, especially when it comes to like I told Stace, I said Hollywood is a small town, you know, so
yeah,
there's only so, and especially back in the 90s and stuff like that, you know, 80s and 90s, word gets around as to what kind of projects they're working on at different places, you know, but A Bug's Life comes out November 25th, 1998, and Ants comes out October 2nd, 1998. Now, here's the really bizarre thing about this is The Prince of Egypt is DreamWorks' other property that it has going, and it comes out 2 months later, December 18th,
with Jake Gyllenhaal?
No. The Prince of Egypt is actually with
that's the Prince of Persia.
It's with a rundown favorite, Val Kilmer.
Yes.
As Moses. He does actually quite a few voices in that, because he also does, I think, the voice of God.
Well, that's because he is like,
Ralph Fiennes, Michelle Pfeiffer, Sandra Bullock, Jeff Goldblum, Danny Glover, Patrick Stewart, Helen Mirren, Steve Martin, Martin Short.
Did we talk about? I feel like we talked about this one recently, maybe in the Val Kilmer episode.
Perhaps, but
maybe
the kids were just watching it the other day. So
maybe that. For Easter, and then I think you did tell me about that, and then I was like, look that up, and I was like, oh yeah,
we were watching it. We were watching it for Easter. And for Passover, Jewish Passover. So.
Deja vu.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
They changed something.
They changed the machines, dude.
The machines.
That's why the other night I was like, "What does this mean for the machines?" All right, so here's an interesting one. That's also this will be an interesting one. Okay, I'll just keep it at that for a second.
Yeah.
Okay. We have Bird Box, which starred Sandra Bullock. It was the one where she lived in a post-apocalyptic. That was good. Post-apocalyptic world, and the aliens or monsters or whatever it was, or something. Now I'm totally drawing a blank on what it was. Why they had to blind themselves. I'll have to look at that synopsis when it's your turn, but.
Yeah.
On the other side of that was A Quiet Place. John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, incredible movie. I know we said no horror, but this is a little bit of a different scenario, as it's more post-apocalyptic in both.
Yeah.
Both during the pandemic, big time pandemic movies.
Bird Box.
Bird Box was
2018.
Oh, was it 2018?
Yeah.
Oh, was there another one? Oh, maybe I'm thinking of Sweet Tooth. Oh, I'm thinking of Sweet Tooth. Sorry, that was definitely pandemic. So Bird Box 2018, A Quiet Place 2018.
Yep.
Not pandemic, but Quiet Place 2 was during pandemic. Maybe that's
Quiet Place 2 was pandemic. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, strike that, reverse it,
flip it, rub it down. Oh.
Bird Box was a Netflix movie.
It was.
Quiet Place was
and a bit of a sensation.
Theater. It was a worldwide, it was like one of those things that just caught on, you know? And then there was even the Bird Box Challenge, which was dumb kids more than anything, but it was that big.
Don't try the Benadryl Challenge, for God's sakes. Like, some kid died from that the other day. I was like, why are we still doing this? Like, these stupid challenges.
I mean, when it if you're starting with Tide Pod challenge as that's the
the Tide Pods. What is wrong with you people?
That was like the first big challenge, you know. And
why don't you just stick with something simple like the Ice Bucket Challenge and donate some money to ALS research or something like that? You know, just for God's sakes.
I mean, I don't know, dude. Anyway, so the Bird Box Challenge was like you blindfold yourself and you walk around. Anyway, both of them were worldwide phenomenons in their own way. Well, streaming versus theater, but Quiet Place kind of came out more on top as the lasting property.
Yeah.
In fact, obviously got a sequel. You didn't watch Bird Box, I feel like, right?
I did not. I did not see it. So.
See, your opinion sucks. No, you like A Quiet Place though. So
loved A Quiet Place. Loved it.
Two movies at the same time.
Yeah.
Now this is a little bit of a different wrinkle too, because
I remember Lexi watched Bird Box, and I even think Stacy watched Bird Box. And they both said it was really, really good. And I don't know why I never got around to watching it. I just didn't. I don't know. And I don't know why. It wasn't that I had anything against it. You know, I love Sandra Bullock. So it was,
it was good.
I can't really,
I think, remember, Netflix isn't at that time really well known for their movies. They're known for their TV shows. So it was one of their first movies that really hit well.
Right.
I don't know. You know, this is a little bit different because it's not, you know, if it was two movies where you had to be quiet or two movies where you were blind, that would be the exact same movie. This is a little bit different, but it's still, you have to remove it. Remove a
primary sense. Yeah. One of the primary senses.
So, you know, is it over time? You know, this is almost 20 years later, maybe, you know, give or take, than A Bug's Life and Ants, where studios like, okay, we can't make the exact same movie. Yeah. You know, make her blind, you know, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Crazy.
I did love A Quiet Place was really, really terrific. John Krasinski did an amazing job. The screenplay was really, really good. Krasinski did an amazing job directing it and even acting in it. But I got to tell you, the bathtub sequence with Emily Blunt was, I was like, I mean, I was already a huge fan of her at the time, but holy smokes, like, wow.
Nuts.
And this may blow your mind, but I have still yet to watch Quiet Place 2. I've seen the opening 15 minutes of it, so I will tell you. So this is what happened.
What? I thought you did watch that. Stacy
went to bed. Stacy was going to go to bed one night, and I turned on A Quiet Place 2, and she came in. She goes, "What are you watching?" And I go, "I was going to watch A Quiet Place 2," and she goes, "Without me?" And I was 15 minutes into the movie, and she goes, "Without me?" And I said, I was, and then
no, it just started playing, and I was on my phone.
Yeah, exactly. And so she never says anything. She just walks into the bedroom, and I was like, "Well, I'm not watching this," you know. And then I've never had the courage to ask her if she wants to watch it. So, I know it's terrible. It's awful. I'm like, oh man. So,
oh man, let's give Erik the courage here. Let's give Erik the courage here.
Yeah.
Comment below.
Yeah, right. Comment below. I need to man up and tell my wife that we're watching a movie together. That's what we're watching.
I've made the plans tonight.
Yeah.
Nope. Anyway, okay, so good example of how things get a little bit different throughout the list here, okay?
Yeah.
The next one is kind of back to the same old two movies at the same time. You know, maybe a little bit of a twist, but holy cow.
$1 million, I bet I could pull that off.
Yeah, exactly. Lawrence, if you had $1 million,
money.
What would you do if you had $1 million? I love he like leans in and he gets real serious with it and he goes, I'll tell you what I'd do. Dude,
but my favorite is
at the same time.
My favorite is that he says, It's the line afterwards that gets me. And he goes, well, chicks did dudes with money. And the guy goes, not all chicks. He says, but without missing a beat, he goes, the kind that double up on a dude like me do. And I think that's the dagger on that one. Like the first joke is really funny, but that follow up.
Oh, he's thought about it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. He's thought about it. He's like, he knows the score. Like, unless I have money, there's no way that's happening.
Oh yeah, dude. That was that's where I got this title from. So that's from Office Space. If you've ever worked in an office, it is required viewing.
Yeah.
Ron Livingston. You'll see it in the Flash coming up. Anyway, all right. So back to this list where the next example, number 4, we got some White House action, and not in the political sense. Well, it depends on who you ask. Yeah, and it is Die Hard on a boat, Die Hard in a bus.
I have to think that the guys in the room when they pitch this one. I know you love that YouTube channel where there's the pitch meeting.
Yeah,
the guy has the pitch meeting. You know, it's just like, I want you to think about the White House and Die Hard. Let's think Die Hard at the White House.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm listening. I'm listening.
And then that one guy's like, I'm sold. I'm done. Next. So we have, look up the year real quick. We have Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down. So Olympus Has Fallen stars Aaron Eckhart, Gerard Butler, and Morgan Freeman himself, right?
Yeah.
Clearly the better movie out of these two. The other one, White House Down, is Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx as the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Aaron Eckhart, I think, is actually should be considered up there in the pantheon of best movie presidents, because Olympus Has Fallen has gotten 2 incredible sequels.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, okay. For me, the big difference on this is, and I'm a Roland Emmerich fan. Like I dig this stuff that Roland Emmerich does.
Yeah.
Like he blows stuff up like nobody else I know. But
he destroys things like nobody.
He destroys things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, nobody beats Antoine Fuqua for action stuff and just all around just
so good.
He can direct people on how to act in an action movie that really has no none of the actors have any business being that good, or the good level of
Tony
actor
Scott
that very much so. So
very Tony Scott.
As a matter of fact, I just watched the trailer for Equalizer 3.
Oh yeah,
tonight, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like Antoine Fuqua.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah,
and Denzel, so good.
The two of them working together and stuff.
Well, let me give you a quick example before we dive into this. Why we're talking about it, because I just remembered. Some people are going to say like, the Equalizer and John Wick in the same year. I didn't put that on here because that is just, it's just too. I mean, it's 2 action movies that you have.
I don't think those are similar. Yeah, I don't think those are similar at all.
Yeah.
Plus, John Wick is a comic book movie, right? Isn't John Wick a comic book?
I don't think so. Oh,
I thought that's where it was. I thought that's where John Wick came from. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, look that up. So I'll talk about Olympus Has Fallen real quick, which is the better movie. The action in it is heart-pounding action. It's brutal as well. Holy cow! Some of those scenes. The main hero, the protagonist, Mr. Gerard Butler, who when he's in his top action form, he's up there in the all-time great action heroes. Morgan Freeman as the vice president, so good. I mean, it's Morgan Freeman.
Just again, we've talked about him reading a menu.
Yeah,
and we're like, oh, I get the shivers just listening to
as he gets through the
appetizer.
Thank you. So. Love that. And then, so Aaron Eckhart's relationship, his president, I forget his name, the president. So Gerard Butler's his Secret Service, his main Secret Service guy, and their relationship is so strong and you like believe that they're good buddies and that he would go to these lengths to protect his president.
Yeah.
Because he respects and loves them too. So I think with White House Down, that was, you know, Channing Tatum was kind of making a turn towards like, okay, this guy actually might be enjoyable, but wasn't there yet. And I you know,
they wanted him to be an action star.
They wanted him to be an action star, and they hadn't quite figured out what Channing was good at yet.
Yeah. Well, I want to think that I got to think about this. Maybe I'll look it up real quick. So John Wick actually was a comic after. They did a comic series after the movie. So
yeah.
But with Channing, I know they had him in the G.I. Joe movie too. They tried to put him into the G.I. Joe action movie, and
it didn't work.
I think it just didn't work.
And they killed him in the first 5 minutes in the next one.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. Like, he was really funny in 21 Jump Street.
That was when they figured it out. And his Magic Mike, you know, he started to do a little bit more on the serious side as well. So
yeah,
he just was. He was. This is G.I. Joe time, when Hollywood was trying to make him a big action star, and he didn't have the charisma yet.
Yeah,
you know,
he was getting to be a big commodity. Like they were trying to make him as the it guy. You know, and
when was 21 Jump Street?
Because 21 Jump Street was in 2012. So he did The Vow.
Oh, that was a little bit of a turnaround for him, because that was with Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, so he did. All right, so he did Public Enemies with Johnny Depp, and that was pretty good. And
he was
2009.
Channing Tatum was in Public Enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't remember that.
He was in Dear John. Then he was in The Vow in 2012. That was 21 Jump Street in 2012. Magic Mike in 2012. He was in G.I. Joe Retaliation in 2013. This is 5 minutes, though. 2013, yeah. White House, and then White House Down 2013. So that he was the it guy in Hollywood. They were really trying to get him. So that 2011, 2012, 2013, and then 2014 was 22 Jump Street. He did Superman's voice in the Lego movie.
With Jonah Hill.
Yeah, Jupiter Ascending. But I got to tell you, if I go all the way to the end here, Kingsman: The Golden Circle. He was terrific. I think he's finally figured out where his
range is.
Where his knack is, and it's comedy. It's comedy action. Like, he can do a comedy. I buy him as a comedy guy.
Yeah.
I buy him as an action dude. So I think, you know, that's where he's, at least that's my thing. Yeah. He was great in The Lost City. Great. Bullet Train.
Oh yeah. Great. The Lost City was what, with
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah. What a surprise movie that. I mean, loved that movie. And then his cameo in Bullet Train.
Yeah. It's great. Did you watch The Kingsman, The Golden Circle?
I haven't watched that yet.
You haven't watched it?
I've only watched the first Kingsman.
Oh my gosh.
Which we'll actually mention later on.
Yeah, he is so great in The Golden Circle. He plays a guy named Tequila, and it's great.
I feel like I remember you've actually told me about that before, now that you say that.
Yeah.
So Olympus Has Fallen. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. It's got 2 great sequels. London Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Was the sequel, which didn't do as well, but also another freaking brutal movie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then the third one called Angel Fallen.
Angel Has Fallen. Yep.
Angel Has Fallen.
Yep.
Not as big, but I thought it was really good. I loved that one.
Yeah.
So anyway, come on, Hollywood. You don't have to copycat things. And so there's another example of really like incredible, like carbon copy movie almost. You have The Prestige from Christopher Nolan, starring Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. And this is like right after Batman Begins. I think it was their next movie.
I think so, yeah.
And then there was The Illusionist, which starred I can see his face right now. It's Incredible Hulk. Not Mark Ruffalo, the guy right before him.
Edward Norton.
Ed Norton. Jeez.
Yeah.
I couldn't get Ed Harris out of my head. So The Illusionist, starring Ed Norton.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that movie, but I can't tell you that for sure that I've seen that movie.
Yeah. It was good. Okay, so this happens to things, where it's like, okay, if you had put this movie out 2 years later or 2 years before, I think people watch it and they go, man, that was a really good movie,
Yeah.
But because it gets put out when it does, because it's got a great cast.
Yeah.
Edward Norton, Paul Giamatti, Jessica Biel, Rufus Sewell, Rufus Sewell's a really underrated actor. He's really, really good.
We were just talking about Rufus Sewell last night.
Yeah.
Because he's on The Diplomat right now, which is a big show on Netflix.
Stacy's watching The Diplomat right now. She's really liking that. But yeah, I just, it was an okay movie. And the only reason why is because The Prestige was so much better.
Yeah.
I think I didn't see The Illusionist in the theater, and I didn't see The Prestige in theaters either. I watched The Prestige first just because I'm a Christopher Nolan dude, but at this point I had really liked what Nolan had done with the three previous movies I think he had done at that point, which I even enjoyed the one that he did up in Alaska.
Insomnia.
Yeah, Insomnia.
That's the one I'm not a fan of.
Sure, yeah, but for me, I was like, it's a pretty good movie. And then he had done the one before that one, which was with what's that one? The time
Memento.
Memento.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What a freaking movie.
Yeah. Memento was terrific. And then Insomnia, and then Batman Begins, and then this thing came along. And this, it's
2006, by the way.
Yeah. It drives my wife crazy. And we weren't together at this time, but it drives my wife crazy that I can, for the most part, predict what's going to happen in a movie. Because she'll look over at me in the movie and she'll be like, you figured it out yet? And I'm like, yeah, and she's like, well, just tell me. And I'm like, no, I don't want to tell you because I want to ruin it for you, but
I blurred that
I'll
shit
figure
out.
out the plot.
I'm like,
but I never saw this coming. I never saw the end of this movie coming. And it was so satisfying. And that's the thing I love about Nolan movies is maybe I'll figure it out, but most likely I'm not going to,
Right.
I'm not going to figure it out. And it really was just really, really good. It was really, really good. And again, great cast. Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale, Michael Caine, ScarJo, Andy Serkis is in it. David Bowie makes an appearance, and he actually is really, really good, in his stuff.
My Cocaine.
Yeah. So my
Rebecca Hall.
I throw in on the Prestige is better than The Illusionist.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious it is. And
I can't wait for the next one.
Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman are in amazing form. They're both coming off big, superhero franchises.
Yep.
And they play off each other really well. I always forget that ScarJo's in that too.
Yeah.
That is a good reminder. And Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis is in it.
I am now I loved Andy Serkis before just because of what he's done for mocap, but in the last few years as an actor, that dude has blown me away in so many ways. Without the
I think it's a shame that he hasn't won an Oscar yet, because his performance, if you even go back to his performance in Lord of the Rings, as Gollum in the last movie they had, the Return of the King.
Yeah.
He is so good.
He's incredible.
He's so good in that. And he gets robbed of it because it's not his face on screen.
Right.
But it is his face, and it's his acting, and
Right.
it's his movements, and it's like
Him
why the people
emoting.
yeah, why the people in Hollywood cannot see that's a performance that's put on there is beyond me. And even his Caesar character that he plays in the Planet of the Apes movies.
I thought that like he was, what he did for Gollum was Oscar worthy. What he did for Caesar was like history making.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He's incredible as Caesar. Yeah. By the way, we should be getting a trailer for that new one soon, I feel like.
I hope so. That would be great.
Okay, so easy winner there was The Prestige. Yep. The next one's a little bit harder of a pick, and I'm interested to see what you think. So, and a lot of times the reason for this, if we are finding any kind of justification for the reasoning of two movies at the same time, it's because some shit happened in the world that, and maybe that's why I was thinking Bird Box and A Quiet Place was apocalyptic, and I was thinking, pandemic. Anyway, something happens in the world, and studios rush to make a movie, and maybe it's not like an insider like knowing what they're doing. It's literally like, volcanoes are kind of a big thing right now. Let's make volcano movies.
Yeah.
And so you got It's Hotter Than Hell volcano in underground volcano in LA, starring Tommy Lee Jones and Anne Heche.
Mm-hmm.
Anne Heche?
Anne Heche.
Okay. Dante's Peak with Bond himself, James Bond, Pierce Brosnan, and then Sarah Connor herself in Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
And that one's like more of like that one's more like Mount St. Helens blown up kind of deal in in a mountainous region, instead of the volcano one in LA. I'm gonna say that my pick would be Dante's Peak. I thought it was a better movie, more intense. The volcano in LA it took me out of it. So the other one was more realistic to me. And then when that sucker blows in Dante's Peak, what a scene. What do you think?
Yeah, I found, I will just say that I have always found Dante's Peak more believable and more better, more I guess it was well shot.
Yep.
And had more memorable stuff that seemed more accurate to me, because the volcano, it was all just like explosions and then lava, and it was like, all right,
it's like LA. All right. See ya.
I like Tommy Lee Jones. I really do,
Yeah. He actually is pretty good in it.
Yeah. But I love Pierce Brosnan. I love Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
She's really good. I will say that there is
just kind of Linda's last big role.
I don't really remember a ton from either one of these movies, but I can tell you that I think there's one scene in the movie where they're in this boat and like the water is turning things. It's acid water. It's like eating the bottom of the boat out. And this old lady like gets out of the boat and she pushes,
disintegrates.
Pushes
oh, that's right. Yeah.
She pushes the boat
away
to get everybody to shore, and it's eating her legs off. I just remember that it's like I probably
have purposefully put that out of my memory.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember who the lady is that plays in that scene. I just know that it was like, if that thing is like etched in my memory and like that's
no wonder you can't sleep at night.
Cool scene. That's like a cool scene where you're like holy smokes, like that.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a scene that I don't know, like that's just how that's the one scene I absolutely remember from that movie. And
I like that you have like a specific scene, because for Dante's Peak, my specific scene is when he couldn't start his car, and the lava was coming, or it was just
pyroclastic flow is what they
like
that cloud of
excuse me, the pyro.
Yeah, thank
pyro
you. Okay, well, the only reason why I know
when he's like trying to start his car, he's like, "Come on," you know, he's real like Pierce Brosnan, like, "Come on." He's really struggling on it.
I used to live in Seattle. I lived there, and they used to talk all the time about the big one. Like, I remember watching a bunch of documentaries. They used to talk about when the big one happens up there, you know, that Mount Rainier will blow and the pyroclastic flow will wipe out where I was living. Like, there was no chance that I was making it, you know, where I was basically in the crosshairs of this volcano. And so it's like, all right, well, that's how I'm going to go, huh? All right.
You're like, so, how much warning time do we usually get?
Yeah. But yeah, I like I said, Dante's Peak felt like I'll always have a better memory of that one. Than I do of Volcano.
Yeah. I think that's for most people that is, but for some reason also Dante's Peak did not perform well. Yeah.
I think it did better on video than it did after it did the box office. But but Volcano didn't do much better. I mean, it was a $90 million budget and it did 122 at the box office.
I mean, they were both.
Dante Peak had a $116 million budget and pulled in 178. So
that was a little bit more of a success. A little bit
better, but not much.
Not much.
Not much. They both are considered flops. From a
financial standpoint. Yeah. Even though there's a little bit of profit, they would have liked to make more. So that's when I say, like, well, this might be hard for some. I mean, I'm a Dante's Peak fan. Most people didn't like it, so it didn't perform well. All right, so the next one, we don't have to deep dive into this because haven't seen the second one, but Snow White and the Huntsman and Mirror Mirror were released in the same year. One starring Charlize Theron. Never a bad choice on that one.
Right.
As the what's the queen's name? The Maleficent, character. And then you had Kristen Stewart as Snow White, which was a odd choice. Also at the time, very much to this day, still
it girl.
Well, she was an it girl at the time, but then nobody believed her as Snow White.
Yeah.
But it also starred Chris Hemsworth coming hot off of Thor.
Yeah.
As the Huntsman.
As the Huntsman.
Yeah. He was really good in that role. In fact, he was the only good thing about that role. In fact, I think he's the one who got the sequel.
He did. He did, didn't he?
Yeah. I don't think it did well, but anyway, this is one of those instances where it's like you released 2 live action Snow White movies in the same year. Interesting stuff there. Hollywood. The next one, I don't think I've seen the second one, but I don't think I'd ever would need to see the second one because the first one is one of my all-time favorite movies, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, starring Kevin Costner, and like full-on Kevin Costner form. The peak Kevin Costner. Well, he's had a really good resurgence lately, but his coming off of Dances with Wolves.
I was gonna say,
It was like I would say he was as big as they got in Hollywood at that point.
Yeah.
He was a top guy.
Yeah.
Incredible movie in my mind. I will forever love this movie because I grew up with this movie. One of my favorite action figures was Kevin Costner from this movie. I just will the score. Oh my gosh, the score is so good that Disney adapted it into their DVD commercial.
Yeah.
But it's so heroic.
It is.
It's so heroic. Who is
cast top to bottom is great. Top to bottom is great. Kevin Costner, our number one villain of all time is in this, guy who plays a terrific villain.
Yeah.
You got Kevin Costner, Morgan Freeman, Christian Slater, and then Alan Rickman is the sheriff of Nottingham. He's so great. And Mary Elizabeth Master Antonio. Again,
this was him coming off of Die Hard, wasn't it?
This was 91. So
I know, it feels like it, but maybe
I think Die Hard was 88-ish.
86.
So maybe it wasn't much. There wasn't much time in between. So I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he was so good. And he's so, first of all, he's in his own accent.
Right.
Like he's just talking like Alan Rickman and not a German, guy or whatever. But he just, oh man, he's so good. He's so good. So, as the sheriff, just absolutely love
Morgan
him.
Freeman as the sidekick too.
I think he did. He played a villain in, I want to say right around the same time he was the villain in that Tom Selleck movie, Quigley
Down Under.
Quigley Down Under.
Elliot
he was
Marston.
the bad guy in that one, and he was really really good. So yeah,
so
I think
then he went to that one, and then
3 bangers in a row where he played the bad guy. And you're like, oh gosh,
he's got to be a bad guy now.
Got to be a bad guy, but he was so lovable in what is it? Well, in the Harry Potter stuff, like if you've read the books and you know all the stuff, his Snape, you just love how well he plays that Snape character. So yeah. Anyhow, I know you don't.
No, but I was waiting for you to say Galaxy Quest because.
Well, in the Galaxy Quest, of course.
I mean, it might be my favorite character in that movie.
Yeah.
Guy, I really like Guy too. Though.
Go out there and say that line one more time.
So look up the second one. Who's that actor? I see the poster and I can't put my finger on the actor. But Morgan Freeman is the main sidekick in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and he's really good as the guy who's like, I'm gonna lay my life down for you, because I'm forever in debt. And I think he was like, he needed to save his life again, is what he needed to do. But even after he did save his life, he still was loyal to him, and he was really great. Little John was not a big part of the movie at first, but he helped them build that Forest City. It was always such a cool set. I always wanted to like visit that set as a kid, Yeah. Especially when you can just like swing across from treehouse to treehouse. How sweet is that?
You're talking about the Robin Hood movie that was out, or you're talking about the Prince of Thieves Robin Hood?
I was talking about Prince of Thieves. Okay. If you could look up the other Robin Hood, because that actor he's got an incredible mustache.
Yeah, Patrick Bergen, I think, is the dude's name. Let me just pull this up. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I got to look at this.
Anyway,
Uma Thurman is in that. She plays the Maid Marian. I'm trying to think the guy's name. It's Patrick Bergen is his name. He's a classic actor, classic character actor.
I can't remember him. I can't remember his name, but his face is so familiar.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. Well, I mean, he's been around a lot, so let's take a look here. Patrick Bergen, Uma Thurman, Jürgen Prochnow, who is, I think he was the boat. Did you ever see the movie Das Boot? It's a submarine movie. He was I don't know. He's in he's been in a bunch of different stuff, but he was like I'm trying to think what's a really good version for him.
Let's talk about the next one because I'm very excited about the next one. So the next one is
Beverly Hills Cop 2. He was in Beverly Hills Cop 2. He was a villain in that one.
Oh yeah. Yep. Okay. The South African guy.
Yeah. Basically. Mm.
So the next one is Battle LA and Skyline.
Sure.
I feel like I've seen Skyline. It's one of those movies. I'm not sure if I've seen it. And again, when you have another movie that's similar to it, that is superior to it in every single way.
Battle LA
is, let me just say from a veteran perspective, it's more accurate than most military movies I see.
I having not been in the military, I can't speak to that. I could just say it's the greatest Marine movie I've ever seen, like Marine Corps movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It is
incredible.
It is Marine from the start to finish. It is the Marine Corps, and
it stars Aaron Eckhart.
And it stars Aaron Eckhart, who's really, really great. Ramon Rodriguez is really good in it. Michael Pena.
Yeah, Michael Pena. That's right. Michael Pena.
He's got a good, yep. So all in all, it just is, it's really good. And it's emotional too. There's a lot of emotion to that movie that slowly creeps in.
Yeah.
Into it, especially the conflict between Aaron Eckhart's character and one of the other characters that's in his squad that's or I think it might be in his platoon, but that his brother had been under his command, Aaron Eckhart's character's command early on, and was killed. And so there's a lot of tension, a lot of conflict that goes on there, and it has a pretty terrific resolution, I should say. But
terrific everything.
Yeah, really. I mean, just the neat thing about it is that you get to show off all the things that the Marine Corps can do without having to name like an actual enemy. Like they're not fighting China, and they're not fighting the Russians, or they're not in Iraq or Afghanistan or anything. They're fighting and doing exactly what Marines would do if this situation occurred, and you could input any enemy there after, but here we have one that's, facing the entire planet. So, but as a matter of fact, I just watched this movie, not even knowing we were doing this. I just watched this movie about a week ago.
I know. Yeah.
I had been wanting to watch it. I saw a clip from it, and I was like, oh man, I have not seen that movie in a long time. I need to rewatch that one. And it's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
So the other one
in the theater, it's,
oh my gosh, it's an accurate military war movie overlaid onto a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
That's as best as I can put it. The other movie is called Skyline. Strange lights descend on the city of Los Angeles, drawing people outside like moths to a flame, which if you're going to put something like that in your synopsis, just don't. Moths to a flame, where an extraterrestrial force threatens to swallow the entire human population off the face of the earth. I know I saw this movie in the theater because as I'm watching somewhat of the like beginning of the trailer and the alien ships are descending down, and then the lights come down, I'm like, I've definitely seen that. I definitely know Eric Balfour, who's one of those guys where you're like, I don't know that name, and then you look him up, you're like, okay, I know him. And then Donald Faison, who you would know from Scrubs, from
he's hilarious,
Clueless, very, very funny, just overall best friend of Zach Braff. And then a bunch of nobodies. David Zayas, though, he plays what's his name on Dexter? He's the big Hispanic guy.
Oh, David Zayas.
Yeah. What's he?
Enrique.
Is it Enrique?
Isn't that his
in Dexter?
No, he played Enrique on Oz. I don't know if you watched Oz or not, but he was Angel. He was Angel Batista on
Angel.
Dexter.
Yeah, Angel Batista. Yeah. Batista. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Batista.
Great character.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, terrible movie. The other one's it's shouldn't even be. They shouldn't even be compared.
No, but I tell you what's really funny is from like a studio perspective, they did that one on like a $10 to $20 million budget. Yeah. And it made almost $70 million. So they like tripled their money off that movie, if not more, depending on how much they actually put into it. So from a studio perspective, it probably was fairly successful, but not anything near what Battle LA was.
Yeah.
That was a $70 million film, 70 to 77, and raked in 212.
The effects in it were incredible. The aliens, I mean, they're a side part in the movie, really, because you get so entrenched and with Aaron Eckhart's crew. It's go watch that if you haven't seen it.
Some great helicopter action. Like the whole ride in on those Sea Knights, the Sea Knight helicopters, CH-43s, was super cool,
And that was at a time where I couldn't really watch Army movies or military movies, for good reason. But
right,
I watched that and had no problem with it. It felt normal to me in a way.
Yeah.
And that's how they it was a love letter to the Marines for sure. Not that I was a Marine, I was Army, go Army.
Yep.
We're better than the Marines. Next on the list, love you, Marines. Captain America: Civil War and Batman versus Superman, 2 gigantic movies.
Yeah.
In the same year, within I want to say, I think a month of each other.
Yeah.
Batman versus Superman is the movie that really just started to tank
Unravel.
DC. Yeah, it started to unravel. It was like opening up a thing of muffins.
Muffins the cinnamon rolls.
Cinnamon rolls. Yeah,
cinnamon rolls. Yeah.
Yeah. It is just like, because you're excited about the cinnamon roll, you're gonna eat some delicious cinnamon rolls, and then it pops in your face, and then it just unravels from there. Terrible analogy now that I think about it, but either way,
you get that pop. It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
You get a little scared.
You're like, at least I'm gonna get some cinnamon roll after this.
It's like from Elf when he's doing the testing the Jack in the Boxes.
All right, so these are 2 movies we've talked about quite a bit, and we'll probably talk about a million more times in our lives. Captain America: Civil War is a top 5 movie for me of all time. So where my allegiances lie. But the question really here is, why was Civil War successful, and why was Batman versus Superman, the 2 biggest heroes of all time, not successful?
Well, let's talk about success, because let's just look at the money side. Okay.
Yep.
So budget for Batman versus Superman, we'll say, is between 250 and 300 million. It pulled in $873.6 million. So that's not bad, budget on
$1 billion.
Right. Budget on Civil War, 250 million, and it pulled in $1.15 billion. So, 2 or 300 million more than so basically its budget more than
massive success financially.
and I think story wise, the dark theme, the dark tone to the Batman versus Superman stuff, why you would even name, we've talked about the name is terrible. Like, why would you, even if you were going to have these guys fight each other, which is stupid to begin with, it just makes no sense. Bruce Wayne is not that stupid.
Yeah, it was too
Bruce
early.
Wayne's not stupid and going to be like, oh, this guy's a bad guy and I need to stop him. Bruce Wayne's the best detective there is out there. So it was just dumb.
It was dumb. So it was too early. It's a great comic from the 80s, Frank Miller, that he wrote. Right. But it didn't feel earned,
Well, and I'll tell you why. At least my theory on why is we didn't get a Ben Affleck Batman movie first that establishes Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne and Batman. Whereas we've already done a Captain America movie. We've established Chris Evans as Captain America, he also has done the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So he's now done the Avengers
twice,
movie.
Yep.
So at this point, at that point he's done 2 Avenger movies, and
so this is his 5th appearance as Cap.
Yeah. So you've earned that right for him to have another standalone movie and have it be what it is, and have him bring back Bucky, his buddy from the war, it has to hurt, and then you kind of have this underlying espionage movie, and it's not a dark. I tell you what I think is the biggest problem with DC is it's too dark.
Yeah,
and I don't just mean like too dark as in the themes
lighting
are too dark.
Yeah,
it's everything takes place at night,
yeah.
and everything takes place it terribly lit. Like everything is terribly lit.
Yeah.
And I get that Batman's a guy that he works in the nighttime.
Yeah.
But I don't
Superman's
remember
not.
Batman Begins or The Dark Knight or even The Dark Knight Rises being that dark. They were never shot that from that dark of a perspective.
Right.
And Captain America certainly was not that way.
No.
A lot of that stuff takes place
it's very colorful. It's got a little bit of a filter on it, but it's still in comparison. It's
But and the other bit is there's a lot of, I wouldn't say a ton of humor, but there is a lot of, they do a better job of humor in Captain America Civil War than they do in Batman. Like maybe if there's some jokes in there, I don't remember any of them, and
a lot of unintentional humor.
And then to have the very end of the movie, the way it ends with the mom's name is just ridiculously stupid. It's like, come on.
I felt like you were starting to go down this path. Is the solo Batman movie for Affleck would have really helped this movie.
Yeah, it would have helped people connect with that particular character. Again, Captain America has paid his dues. He's got, he had a standalone movie where it was just him and you get to learn about the history of it.
Yeah.
And it's not that we haven't watched this origin story of Batman over and over again. You don't have to tell the origin story of Batman.
Yeah, like a Spider-Man.
But you can do like they did with Robert Pattinson, where he gets his own movie to establish him as Batman. It's not an origin story. You're not going back to find out,
Although when you hire Affleck, you have to. That's the thing. When you hire Pattinson, he can play a year 2 Batman.
Yeah.
You can't hire Affleck in 2015, 2016 to be a young Batman.
He's been around a while.
He's been around for a while.
He's for me, he's the quintessential Frank Miller, The Dark Knight Returns. And you could have put that movie out. You could have done The Dark Knight Returns and have Affleck be your Dark Knight, and filmed that movie, and then you would have had the audience connect with that character better. I will say, and it may not be all that popular of an opinion, I love Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
I really do. I think he's a tremendous Bruce Wayne character. And I thought he did an okay job as Batman. But I don't think that was his fault. That there were decisions made about the suit, about the voice, all that different stuff that I just couldn't connect with, and it just, like, the digital voice really.
I do think you're in the minority on that opinion.
I hear. Yep, I get it, but that's just my opinion, and you're wrong. So
well, here's where here's some things I know I'm right about. Okay, Civil War.
Yeah.
I still think Winter Soldier is my most favorite movie out of the MCU. Endgame had 2 of the best moments of my life. But as an overall movie, Winter Soldier takes the cake, but man, Civil War is so close behind it. It's like 1A, 1B for me.
It's really emotional, man. It's really emotional because
it's got so much heart, though. Yeah. That's what makes it emotional. You look at. Okay, so it gets this knock for some reason where it's Avengers 2.5 or whatever.
Sure.
But you can see that this movie is made through Cap's perspective. He's the protagonist.
Yeah.
And where where BVS failed hard is in the villain. And we talk about it all the time.
Yes.
If you have a good villain, your movie is going to be good.
Yeah.
Captain America Civil War really subverted expectations, really setting up Zemo as the main villain. And really, it was Tony who was the antagonist, which there's a difference there between villain and antagonist. And the way you believe that these two guys are going to beat the shit out of each other by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
You can start seeing the fracture. One of my all-time favorite YouTube videos, and I'll link it in the description. This guy made this video about why Captain America Civil War is so good, and he nails the points, and he nails it really when it comes to Tony, about how Tony kept losing throughout this movie, and how his losing then ultimately leads to the Avengers losing.
Yeah.
And there's always an online debate. Who was right? Who, was Cap right? Was Tony right? There's not a right answer to that, I don't think.
You could connect with both sides on here. And I can sympathize with Tony Stark. I really can. I mean, the dude killed his parents,
right?
Like he killed his parents. And same thing with Baron Zemo makes it look like King T'Challa gets killed, or
T'Challa.
T'Challa gets killed.
Yeah. Or no, T'Chaka dies first. His dad is T'Chaka, and he's
the one that's killed in front of everybody. And it's the Winter Soldier that they blame for that. And so it's like it, and I get, but at the same time, you can sympathize with where Steve Rogers is coming from as well,
right?
And all them. So, and there's a lot of underlying stuff there where Tony has this thought that he has to protect the planet. Like those things could come back at any time, and he has to protect the planet.
Let's put
and he goes and creates this thing. Yeah, exactly. And then this thing that he creates on his own, they make these decisions on their own without consulting anybody whatsoever. They just make these decisions, and they're like, all right. And it ends up killing a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
There's collateral every time.
There's collateral, right? And so it's tough, where he's like, I don't think we have the authority to do this. I don't think we should have the authority to do this. And Cap is like, I think we do. And, because I'm the good guy, and I'm always the good guy, and everything I do is always right. And Tony's like, I don't think that's true. I don't, it's like, so
they present cases on both, again, like you said, you can sympathize with both sides. And, but the action in Civil War is so damn good.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you can see it.
You can see they did the elevator scene in Winter Soldier, which is still maybe my all-time favorite scene.
Yeah, for sure.
So got to up the action in this one. They do a hallway. Marvel loves their hallway fights, and they do it damn good. So I'm always down for it. And this one is when Cap finds Bucky, and he goes to his apartment, and then the SWAT team is coming, and man, they fight their way out, and when you can see these two guys just demolish an entire SWAT team like they're nothing.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, yeah, these guys are freaking Avengers, dude.
Yeah.
And I love how in the beginning scene with Rumlow, Cap is like playing with him, and finally he gets pissed, and he's like, all right, this shit is over. And he beats the shit out of Rumlow. Great. Gosh, the Russo brothers, man, they know their action. That's for sure.
Yep, for sure.
All right, let's move on. We talked about those two movies quite a bit. These next two movies, maybe Hollywood got a little horny, or I don't know. There's Showgirls and Striptease. Striptease, starring one of the all-time most beautiful women of all time, Demi Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Was we'll get there. And then Showgirls starred, oh gosh, what's her name from Saved by the Bell? Jessie Spano.
Well, that's her name. It's Elizabeth Berkley.
Elizabeth Berkley, thank you.
Yeah.
Jessie Spano.
I'm
so excited.
I'm so excited.
I just can't hide.
Yeah.
Oh, if you know, you know. Not massive successes here. I don't know if mid 1990s America was ready for this kind of upfront ness. I guess you could say. If these movies were released today in a different form, I think they'd do much better. Showgirls has a crazy cult following, so there's that. I always forget that the guy from Speed, the black guy from Speed, who he takes his car and gets onto the bus, and then he's on a boat in the second one. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
The guy, he gets in his Corvette, and he's when Keanu's getting onto the bus, when he jumps onto the bus. Do you know what I'm talking about in Speed?
Oh, yes, I do know who you're talking about.
Okay.
I do know. I don't know what his name is, but
I don't know what his name is either.
Yeah.
But he's in Showgirls, and it's always funny because it makes me think of Speed. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Showgirls, budget wise, 40 to 45 million. Box office 37.8. Didn't even make it back. Yeah. And here's the number one problem with this movie. It is one of only a handful of movies that have gotten an NC-17 rating.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. Yeah.
You cut off a lot of, and we're talking the 90s when every movie was PG-13. Like right, every theater was like, every movie was PG-13.
Yeah.
And so if you had an R-rated movie, like you were already not going to make any money. And then you do an NC-17 and it was like, nope. Like nobody's going to see that. And frankly, Elizabeth Berkley was not good in this. No. She was not good.
Not really
good. The plot is
really
terrible.
Any time though,
Yeah. The plot was terrible.
Terrible story.
Really a terrible story. Striptease, on the other hand, I wouldn't say that you could connect with it, but but
had a little more heart, maybe.
It's I mean, it's a woman who works at a strip club to help pay for. She's a single mom helping to pay for her kids' stuff. You know, like I can relate to that versus some girl that just wants to go out to Vegas and become. She'll do anything to be a showgirl. You know, and it's just like I don't know. So I just kind of connected a little bit more with Demi Moore. She's more relatable in this movie. Budget on that one's 40 million and at box office 113. So it made its money back well over. You know, and totally pretty good.
Weird connection to the list though. Burt Reynolds. Yeah. Okay, Burt Reynolds in this movie and in Boogie Nights. You know, like
let me tell you, Burt Reynolds
is a sex symbol.
Burt Reynolds in this movie has one of the greatest lines there is. So he plays like the senator or something like that, or
congressman.
Congressman, yeah, he's got congressman. He walks in his boxer shorts and his boots on and a cowboy hat, and he's covered in Vaseline. And his assistant goes, "What is all over you?" or something like that. He goes, "It's Vaseline. I can feel it squeezing between my toes." You know, and only the way Burt Reynolds can deliver a line. And oh my gosh, I that's the only thing that I remember from this movie is that. Well, there is one other scene that I can remember. This movie.
Yeah, I'll take it. You know, Demi Moore got a lot of flack for this movie. And then she went on to do G.I. Jane right after this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it was exactly right after. I think it was a year before it. I know that because G.I. Jane was 97.
Yeah.
1996, though, we have covered this movie in our 1996 episode.
Yeah, which I think I talked about Vaseline.
I think you did, yeah. This was a
best.
Big year for Demi Moore. She did The Juror, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Striptease, If These Walls Could Talk, which was a TV movie. Yeah. And then she voiced a lady in Beavis and Butthead. I think this was right after her split with
Bruce.
Who they are still good friends. In fact, I see it posted online all the time from Demi Moore that she hangs out with Bruce, and she was just there to sing him a happy birthday with family. I like seeing these
they
like
have kids
heartfelt
together, and I think that's
it's really great to see that though. You know, you don't always get that, especially in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So, the next one on the list is the old switcheroo movies. Okay, we've had more than one of these, I think, instances in our lifetime of switcheroo movies. But
Yeah.
you got Like Father, Like Son,
Yeah.
starring Kirk Cameron and Dudley Moore,
Yeah.
and then you have Judge Reinhold in Vice Versa,
Yeah.
which is the one that I connect to a little bit more. I don't know why, if maybe it was a little bit more kiddish as I was a young boy watching the movies.
Yeah.
But I do remember Judge Reinhold as acting like a kid in the movie way more than I remember Dudley Moore, Kirk Cameron's movie, which I still vaguely remember, but I don't know, maybe you have a better memory of those.
Yeah, because I was like 11 or 12 when those movies came out. So I do remember, and I have the same connection. Like
Vice versa.
I had Like Father, Like Son, I felt like was a better movie. Like I just remember that movie better. Kirk Cameron was really, really popular at that point, like I remember his Family Tie stuff. And my mom was a huge Dudley Moore fan. Like we watched, Dudley Moore was really, really funny and still is I'm sure
still
a very
is,
funny dude, but
this is like peak Dudley.
It really was.
Like his prime Dudley.
He was doing a lot of really, really great stuff, really good movies. He had the what's the movies that he did? What's the name of it? Arthur. He did the Arthur movie. He did a movie he did a movie with Eddie Murphy called Best Defense, where he's like an arms salesman.
Dunstan checks in.
He did the Milo and Otis. I don't remember if you ever saw Milo and Otis or not, but
I'd have to see the picture.
Yeah.
Did he do Dunstan checks in, or is it just too close to Dudley?
I don't remember I don't remember that one, but he did a movie called Crazy People that was really funny.
What was it called?
Crazy People. 1990. That's another one I think that there were two movies that were like
the same
because there was Crazy People about him having a nervous breakdown, like he had a nervous breakdown, and then I want to say James Belushi had a movie called I gotta look it up. Let me look it up. James Belushi had a movie that he did that was very similar. What was that name of that movie? It's
I don't know.
See if I can find it.
Let me pull up Vice Versa, because it's more than just Judge Reinhold. It's Fred Savage was the other guy.
Fred Savage, who was big at the time for
very big.
What was the movie or show he was doing? The Wonder Years.
Wonder Years, yeah. So they were big at that time, and Judge Reinhold, who has not aged well, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and probably why it doesn't work anymore. But it
wasn't Belushi. I think.
Divorced executive marshal and his 11-year-old son Charlie casually touch a magical Tibetan skull. Releasing a mysterious power that transfers Marshall's mind to Charlie's body and vice versa. Their problems have just begun. It's got, I feel like it's maybe it's just it feels a little bit more for kids than the Dudley Moore one. Richard Kind, man, that guy's in everything.
Yeah.
Jane Lynch. James Hong is in that.
Yeah. I am wrong. Dudley Moore is in the movie that I was thinking of.
Oh.
The Crazy People one. It's a really funny movie. It's a guy who has a nervous breakdown. He goes into an insane asylum, but he's an advertising guy. He's an advertising guy. And so
they always go crazy.
But then he starts getting the people around him to do his ads, so he's got like ones like Jaguar, for men who'd like hand jobs from beautiful women they hardly know. And then Volvo, they're boxy, but they're good.
So true.
They had some great, stuff. The one that's The Greek travel agency. Forget Paris. The French can be annoying. Come to Greece. We're nicer.
Also, very true.
Yeah, right. It was. I remember that movie. It was really.
I would like to watch like Father Like Son again. I really need to watch that one again. Actually, I'd like to watch both. There's a lot on on this list I'd like to watch again, especially these next two.
Yeah.
Okay, so the number 13, we're to 13. We're getting towards 13, the end here,
almost there,
and it's really meaty here at the end. Okay, it's hard to pick winners.
Yeah.
Here you go. This is a tough debate.
Yeah.
The Truman Show and Ed TV. Again, not carbon copies, but similar movies where one guy doesn't know he's on national worldwide television.
Right.
And the other guy made the choice to be, followed around with cameras.
Yeah.
Truman Show, Jim Carrey. I freaking love this movie. I'm just put that out there right now. I know that there's like a weird, like people don't believe that the movie was a success. It didn't perform as well as they would have liked either. Ed TV outperformed.
$60 million budget, made $264 million. Like what?
Again, not always. Doesn't always equate to critical and fan success. Again, it paid its bills for sure. But Ed TV outperformed expectations, and Matthew McConaughey was really like kind of coming into his like own persona.
Yeah.
And how he was going to act for like the next 10 years in all of his romantic comedies that he did for a while.
Yeah.
Before he got serious again.
Here's the question. Here's a question I'll ask you.
Yeah.
Which would you rather watch again?
Truman Show, 100% of the time.
Okay. So that to me, that's what tells you. That's how I break it down. Which movie would I watch over and over and over again?
That's usually how you determine things. Yeah.
Truman Show would get it. I have not seen Ed TV in a long
Truman
time.
Show would get it.
I remember watching Ed TV and I liked it. I thought it was good, but it had a budget of $80 million and it only made $35 million.
It wasn't a good enough love story. Who's the girl in it?
I thought Jenna Elfman was super cute in it. Woody Harrelson is hilarious.
Woody Harrelson is a god in that movie. But
he's so funny.
I'm not a big fan of Jenna Elfman, and there's a reason why she didn't last. She got on people's nerves.
Yeah. She's super cute in this movie. Though.
But I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to empathize with somebody who goes from Jenna Elfman to Elizabeth Hurley and then back to Jenna Elfman. Sorry. Elizabeth Hurley is...
Oh, yeah.
What? I just froze for a moment. So there's that. But Truman Show is... I would put it.
Ed TV's a Ron Howard movie, right? You know that?
I know because his brother is in the van. The entire
Clint
movie.
Howard. Yeah,
Clint Howard's in the van.
Yeah.
So good in it though. Truman
Laura
Show.
Linney.
Laura Linney. I would put Truman Show in the magical movie category for me. In my own opinion, it's a magical movie. I love it so much. It's so original. Jim Carrey it's one of his best performances in my mind. His range in the movie is so good. The scene where he kind of starts figuring things out, the score during that scene where he stops in the middle of the road and he's like stopping cars and the score really just crushes that scene. I mean, in a good way. The score
is really good.
It is an incredible score.
Yep.
Ed Harris, I love Ed Harris in anything that man does, and he plays like a kind of like a Steve Jobs type character in this, and he's so good. Paul Giamatti is in his early days is so funny in this movie.
Yep.
There's a breakdown I watched recently on YouTube about this movie that I was like, oh man, I didn't consider any of that. If I can find it, I will link it. But there's some crazy theories about like his best friend. I think his name is Lewis.
Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis.
Noah Emmerich. played
Noah Emmerich.
Who's a really good character actor.
Great character actor. I was great in The Americans. And then oh gosh, Helen. Oh man, she's his wife from Ozark, from Love Actually, Laura Linney. Yeah. I'm gonna get some flack for that one. Sorry, Banana.
She's great.
Yeah, she's
always great.
She portrays that facade so well, you know.
I tell you, it's so funny. Lexi, I know I drove her crazy, but there's a scene where she's doing an advertisement in the show because she has to work in these advertisements, you know, and she says something like she's showing off this knife and she's like, it slices and it dices. and he looks over at her and he goes, that's amazing. You know, it's just like only Jim Carrey can deliver that line. He's like, that's amazing, you know. And so
like, how else do what do you want me to respond to that?
Right. When the younger kids don't get it as much as Lexi did, but I used to say that to her all the time.
That's amazing.
She would say to them, but I'd be like, well, that's amazing. You know, like that. And she's like, shut up. She hated it when I did that, but
that's funny.
Yeah.
They just Great were movie. Very smart how they crafted, you know, how they were going to keep him there. You know, there wasn't a lot of plot holes in that, you know, and they were very smart how they made it believable that could actually happen. And in today's crazy world, I'm surprised it hasn't.
Yeah.
You know, but Ed TV, good, fun,
it was funny.
enjoyable
it was a funny and fun
movie. Yeah.
Yep.
But Truman Show is an all timer for sure.
Yeah,
and I think it was Ellen was in Ed TV and she was pretty good in it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a funny movie.
I think Rob
I remember
Reiner,
watching
he went
it
crazy.
and liking it. Yeah, and I know I saw it probably 2 or 3 times when it came out. You know,
I mean, Woody Harrelson alone is something that you want to watch it.
Yeah, he's so good.
He
plays such a terrible brother.
Oh, he's so bad. Gosh, he's so bad. He plays that guy so good though. And then again, Elizabeth Hurley. Okay, so now again, like I said, meaty end here to the list. Number 14. You got some just peak Tom Hanks and Turner and Hooch, and I would almost say peak James Belushi and K9. Right. So cop movies with a sidekick dog. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Carbon copy movies.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to. I really love James Belushi.
I do too.
To this day, great. I would not miss anything he's in. But Turner is his peak. I mean, when the drool is coming down.
Oh yeah.
Off the dog and
Turner and Hooch.
And Tom Hanks is talking to him about it. He's just it's like you have spaghetti hanging out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And the dog he's just, you know, it's a German Shepherd in K9.
In K9, yeah.
And he's I don't know, what is that, a bulldoggy kind of mix maybe in Hooch?
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of
I'll look it up.
is.
I'll look it up while you give your thoughts here.
Yeah. Well, and I was wondering, I was just trying to think to myself, I was trying to think to myself when Beethoven came out as well. Because when was Beethoven?
Oh, yeah. Beethoven was around, no, Beethoven was like early to mid 90s, like maybe 92, I think.
92, yeah.
Oh,
okay. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So it was later. But there was
89.
another dog movie that year, actually, now that I think about it. I feel like there was another dog movie. Or maybe it was just Beethoven, too, I'm thinking of.
Yeah, because you had 89, you had Turner and Hooch. 89, you had K9. And then 92, you had Beethoven. So we had like 3 dog movies, like right around the same
3 dog
time
movies.
or whatever.
So Hooch is Doge de Bordeaux. Doge de Bordeaux.
He's got that stupid pushed in face that
he looks like a dummy, you know?
Yeah. But and
like an innocent dummy.
And it was Tom Hanks' physical comedy was so good in that movie.
I know. I miss that Tom Hanks. Like that big era, you know, just
very,
very good. Turner and Hooch, you would take it?
I'd take Turner and Hooch over K9 for sure. And not that I didn't like K9, because again, love James Belushi. But I
mean, even looking at these two posters, the look on the dog's face in Turner and Hooch is just a big dummy. You know, he's a big dumb animal, but and the other one is just a front facing, no emotion dog. You can see the emotion in Hooch. So Turner and Hooch.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know we differ on this one, so and we've talked about these two before, but two of our all-timers, I would say. And this is really where we should put a poll in the comments, like Armageddon.
I'm going to be in the minority on this one, I know.
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like Armageddon has a crowd out there that it will fight it every day.
Yeah.
But Armageddon, Deep Impact, there was so again, like when shit happens in the world, it becomes like kind of a phenomenon. Hollywood's like, let's go make movies about this.
Yeah.
And Deep Impact was a more of a serious tone, while Armageddon was a Michael Bay movie, which I don't say that in vain.
No, it's you either like Michael Bay stuff or you don't like Michael Bay stuff.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. And it's peak Michael Bay before he got into Transformers. And Bruce Willis is the freaking man in it. Steve Buscemi is maybe the greatest side character of all time.
Rockhound.
But the whole cast is dynamite. So I know you like Deep Impact better as a movie, but if you're going to sit down and watch one of them, are you going to pick Deep Impact still, or are you going to pick the more fun, enjoyable Armageddon?
Well, it just depends on what I'm feeling like.
Sure, that's a good point.
It depends on what I'm feeling like. I'm no joke. I watch Deep Impact like once every year or two.
That's good.
I will sit down and watch that movie because it's always one that I really enjoy the film. Mimi Leader directs the hell out of this movie, and Robert Duvall's amazing.
I was just gonna say Robert Duvall
he's so good in it. Tia Leone, Elijah Wood is really, really great. Him and I can't remember what the girl's name is right now. I'm trying to think of her.
Here, I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Yeah, she's really, really good. I think Morgan Freeman's the president of the United States, so you can't go wrong with that.
Where he should be all the time.
Right.
He should be Permo Presidente.
Right. Yeah, he's really, really great. But even John, one of our favorites, John Favreau's in it. He plays
that's right.
one of the astronauts and stuff. And Lily Sobieski is the girl that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, very cute girl.
Yeah, very cute. But it's
Ron Eldard? I love that dude.
Yeah,
he's one of the helicopter pilots in Black Hawk Down.
Yep. It's just got a great story. And it's a relatable story that you could so Armageddon is this big explosions type thing, and you send people to the rock, and it's
like how are we going to save the world?
How are we going to save it? And in
Deep
this
Impact's like we're fucked.
Well, we can't save everybody, and that's the decision that they that's the decision that they make. That's the decision that they make. We can't save everybody, but we can give them a chance, and it's great, and one of my favorite lines from one of the astronauts, like they have to make this big decision, and her line is, well, on the bright side, we'll all have elementary schools named after us, and you're like, all right, like that.
I don't want a library named after me.
Yeah, right. But hey, we've got, and you have this really sweet. Blair Underwood is in it. He's really good. He's one of the characters.
Richard Schiff, Toby from West Wing.
Yeah, he's
always great in his small roles.
Yeah,
or their side roles. James Cromwell.
There's just more emotional attachment to all the characters in the movie, and how they each relate to stuff. And the special effects over the years have not aged as well
Right.
as you would have liked. And this, I don't mean to say that I don't like Armageddon, because you're talking about like the difference between lasagna and pizza. Like I love both of these.
Lasagna and calzone.
And yeah. Like I love, or pizza and calzone. Like
Or
I
no, I
love
meant
both those things.
manicotti and lasagna. That's what I meant.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love both of those things. So it's not that I don't
Sorry,
like
Grandma.
Armageddon. I do. I think it's a terrific movie. And if I want to laugh and watch an sci-fi action movie, then I'll watch that. I mean,
Yeah.
from the very, very beginning, when the guy's like, if I discover it, I get to name it, right? And they're like, yeah. And he goes, well, I want to name it Dottie after my
My
wife,
wife.
And
It's a life sucking hell.
she's a life sucking bitch.
I
And she
mean,
gives him the finger, right there. I mean, just like they set the tone like right away for what it's gonna be,
so much.
what it's gonna be.
It's incredible how much humor is in that movie.
Oh
And
yeah,
it never feels like, okay, this is getting too jokey,
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's so funny. I can't believe how funny it is for what
The
it is.
scene where they're she's teaching them how to do their 0G stuff, and she says, she's she looks over and she goes,
No,
bear,
Barry.
and he goes, yeah. She goes, I need you to pay attention, because if I were to kick you in the balls, you would go that you would fly off that rock, and he goes, ooh, Rockhound goes, like that. And he goes, when do we start training for that?
Man, I used that line recently in a like a big manager meeting,
Yeah.
and it killed. I was like, "Thank you, Rockhound."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even Owen Wilson is
Totally.
so fun. Like we're talking big hero stuff here, guys.
Yeah.
Like I love his perspective. Liv Tyler is Liv Tyler. Ben Affleck is good in his role.
Yep. Billy Bob.
But I know I said Rockhound's probably the greatest side character, but it's really really hard not to like Chip.
Will Patton plays Will Patton is a favorite.
Yeah.
We've talked about him on many, many, many occasions. Will Patton is a terribly underrated actor and should get way more work than he does, because he kills in every single thing he does. And I mean, he plays.
What are you doing with a gun on a spaceship?
Right? Yeah. He plays such a great sidekick to Bruce Willis, like just as loyal.
I'm not
picking
picking straws against you. That line is,
yep.
I'm not picking straws against you. Holy cow!
Yep,
it gets you.
Yeah.
It's a good duo. It's one of the
music. Let me ask you this: music wise, I listen to Deep Impact.
I need to check it out. I don't remember it.
So the score from Deep Impact is a James Horner score.
Oh, well, of course, then it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And not to say that Trevor Rabin's Armageddon isn't great, but I don't think I've ever listened to it.
It's not the soundtrack is more, when the soundtrack
more rock.
Yeah, when the soundtrack is more popular than the score,
right.
That doesn't play well.
Yeah.
For score. So
let's talk budgets though. Budget on Armageddon, 140 million.
Okay.
Box office 553, which is actually surprising to me that it wasn't higher. I would have expected that one to be higher than it was.
I think it was a little Deep Impact didn't. Did Deep Impact, say that 10 times fast? Did Deep Impact come first?
It did. So
and it didn't perform as well as people thought, right?
No, actually, it did not. So it came out on May 8th, 98.
Yeah, the premiere spot of the summer.
Right. Budget was 80 million. Box office 350 is what it pulled in. So so it cost less, made 350. It's basic, and then budget for Armageddon, like it says, 140.
Yeah.
Box office 550,
which is a lot of, you're paying that cast, You
are. So I don't know, it fared better at the box office. That's just it.
I think Armageddon also has had the legs due to the cast.
Yeah.
But it's also just, it's got more rewatchability because of the fun factor.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I think critically, critics hated both of them. I think 38% on Armageddon. I'm reading this. 38% on Armageddon, 44 on Deep Impact on Rotten Tomatoes. But I even though they're the same subject matter, I'd have to say that probably Armageddon is the more fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
The Deep Impact is the more dramatic movie to watch. Although I will tell you,
that's where I like what mood
I choked up at that scene at the end with Bruce Willis and his daughter.
Dude,
and Ben Affleck.
There's only one way for Bruce Willis to die, and that's for him to kill himself.
Yeah,
he's the only guy who can kill himself. That was a long army joke for a while. So my allegiance, I swear allegiance to Bruce. Sorry.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so that was a good list of at least one of the movies carries the conversation, and most of the time it was like, okay, one dominates over the other.
Yep.
Here we have a list of dishonorable mentions, and we're going to start with Paul Blart, Mall Cop, and Observe and Report.
Yes.
Now,
I got to go with Paul Blart. I love Kevin James.
Paul Blart did get a sequel as well, so I guess that one wins. I mean, Observe and Report with Seth Rogen was okay. Wasn't one of his best.
If nothing else, Paul Blart and Kevin James work on the Segway. Like, that dude put some work in
that is true.
to get that Segway to do the stuff that it did. So
it was way better than it had any business being. Paul Blart.
Yeah, it was great.
And then so we visit our definitely my childhood. There was about a 2-year span of 3 baseball movies that involve kids in a heavy way. You have and you could even add Sandlot into this. I think it was right before that, and maybe this is why this became a big trend. You had Rookie of the Year, where the kid breaks his arm and becomes starting pitcher for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
Angels in the Outfield. Just one of those, not as good as the others, but still, it just reminds me of me being young watching that movie and being happy. And then Little Big League, where the kid gets
Minnesota Twins.
He gets the Minnesota Twins because his grandpa died, and he was best friends with his grandpa, and his grandpa's like, I want to give you the thing that I love the most, and it's the Minnesota Twins, and then he immediately names himself manager of the I mean, it's ridiculous concepts throughout these 3 movies, but I love them so much. And when baseball movies are good, it's hard to beat them as sports movies. So
yeah.
Of course, The Sandlot's still the king kid baseball movie.
I agree.
And probably forever will be maybe the kid king sports movie. There's that and Mighty Ducks. There's a bracket there that would be fun to put together. All right, and then in 1 year we had 2 video game adaptations, and as we've talked about many times, video game adaptations haven't gone very well until recently.
Yeah.
And we had Street Fighter and Double Dragon, so kung fu movies as well. Van Damme as the titular character in Street Fighter. What a weird it's a weird movie, but it's also weirdly fun at times throughout the movie. But Raul Julia as M. Bison. You'd say yes to that casting 100% of the time.
Yeah, and it did not go.
It did not go. Is that when he died? Is that the movie he died on, or was it Addams Family too?
No, I think
I can't remember. I feel like we talked about that actually.
Did he die on the moon over Parador? I think is when he died on that one. But
it was right. I feel like it was right after Street Fighter, or maybe Street Fighter hadn't come out yet when he died.
Yeah.
Either way, not good movies. And then you had this weird trend of you had Princess Diaries and What a Girl Wants. So Princess Diaries was Anne Hathaway. That got a sequel.
Yeah.
Pretty good movies, if you ask me. And then you had What a Girl Wants, which starred Amanda Bynes. This was kind of like the British princess storyline, and then you had the American princess storylines with Chasing Liberty and First Daughter. Both of those flopped pretty hard.
Yeah.
Weird trend there. What do you think caused that trend?
I don't know. I really don't, because
somebody, I don't know.
I don't know. I got nothing.
And then you had, I know these ones have their crowd, especially Carrie Erickson loves Battleship. Holy cow. She is obsessed with that movie. And I know you like Pacific Rim. I liked the first 2/3 of Pacific Rim.
Yeah,
I feel like it fell flat.
Okay, so Battleship,
not a video game adaptation, just a board game adaptation.
Yeah, right. Battleship was not great. It was not great. Like, I really would like.
It's
it's a Peter Berg movie. It's a fun, mindless action stuff. I just
Liam
I don't
Neeson,
know.
Alexander Skarsgård, Rihanna. You'd think it'd be.
Rihanna was in it. Rihanna looked good in it. She looked hot.
Taylor Kitsch, of course, with Peter Berg. So.
But Pacific Rim was. I'm big into those types of movies.
Yeah.
I love the kaiju, giant robot versus giant monster stuff. So, like, to me, they would have had to put a big turd out there for me not to watch that and like it, and I did, and it was good.
Yeah,
you had
Idris Elba, Charlie Hunnam,
Elba. Yep, and
Charlie Day.
Yep, Charlie Day is so funny.
He's really good in that.
Yeah, and then so honestly, Pacific Rim.
Female in that?
It's an Asian girl.
Oh, that's right.
I don't remember what her name is. Kiko,
yeah.
I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Makiko. Kiko, I think, is her name.
She's
in
the movie. The Wolverine, I think.
Yes. Yeah. She's really good. So, So Pacific Rim for me is.
I would watch Pacific Rim 100% of the time.
Jack and I
over Battleship.
Yeah, Jack and I love it.
Now
it's definitely rewatchable.
Yeah. Well, and I wish the sequel was better too. Maybe that plays a little bit into my bias against Pacific Rim a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I remember liking a lot of Pacific Rim, but I feel like it didn't end as strong.
Yeah, I think the third act could have been better.
Here's an example that is like, why? The Legend of Hercules and Hercules. So you had the one with The Rock, and then you had the one with the guy from Twilight.
Right.
That nobody saw. And nobody really saw the Hercules one with Rock either. So those two flopped hard.
Yep. And I'm okay with it. I don't think I watched either one of them.
I did not watch Hercules with Twilight guy. I watched the Rock one. And then there's the Rock in Jungles, which was just funny to put on there because you find the Rock in Jungles and Rampage and what was the recent one with Ryan Reynolds? You find him in the jungle and the
Rundown. How did you miss that one?
Oh, he's in the Rundown in the jungle. Yeah, in the Rundown. He's in the jungle with Stifler. Yeah.
Yeah, Sean William Scott.
Christopher Walken.
Yeah, Christopher Walken's great.
And Laszlo from Real Genius as the guy with the whips.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Rock, and stop going into the jungle, The Rock. Okay, DJ. Then you also had in 1 year you had a lot of British spy
Jungle
stuff.
Cruise, he's great. In the Jungle Cruise,
I was like trying to remember that there's that Jungle Cruise and with the one with Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot. What was that? Red Man.
Red.
He's in the jungle a lot. That's not even you include Jumanji in there twice.
Yeah, Jumanji's not. Yeah, you're not even throwing Jumanji, which another great one. Jumanji. Yeah.
So 1 year they decided to do a lot of British spy stuff. The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which love that movie, starring.
We really do. again, a movie that didn't.
Yeah, it didn't take off. I love this movie. It's it's not gonna get a sequel now with Armie Hammer. Well, you could always just
For sure
do a Henry Cavill and Hugh Grant sequel. But
yep.
I mean, Armie Hammer was pretty good in it. Oh gosh, I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot for forgetting both girls. Elizabeth
Hurley's in it, right?
No, Elizabeth Tedecchi. Gosh, what is her? This is gonna be crazy.
Alicia Vikander.
Well, there's Alicia Vikander who kind of falls in love with Armie Hammer's character, but then there is
Elizabeth Debicki.
Elizabeth Debicki. Is that what I said?
That's you're working on it.
Bam. Elizabeth Debicki, who is stunning in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Henry Cavill's so good. He's so charismatic in this one. It's unfair.
I don't know where this one. I honestly don't know where this one.
I don't know
wrong.
either, and maybe because I don't know. It's Guy Ritchie.
75. Well, okay, 75 to 84 million was the budget. It pulled in 107 million worldwide. Now let's see. This is 2015. So I'm gonna just look at my succubus time period here.
After 2 years after Man of Steel. I mean, he was a hot commodity. I'm talking about Henry Cavill, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, his post Madonna, isn't it?
No, they divorced in 2008, so it's outside of the.
Yeah, so it's post Madonna.
It's post Madonna, which was when most of his stuff got good.
Yeah,
when he was married to her, it was terrible.
It is good.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this movie doesn't do better.
Yeah.
Or didn't do better. So then there was also Spy with Melissa McCarthy and Jude Law and who's the third person in that? Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Did not do very well.
No.
And then you had Kingsman, the start of the Kingsman series. Very, very good movie. So it's not like all three of these sucked. Probably should have been on the list, honestly, because Man from U.N.C.L.E. is a movie we should dive a little bit more into, and maybe we can find out why it didn't perform well.
Yeah.
Maybe down the road for a Presents. But I don't know.
The Kingsman,
like fantastic movie.
Right. Out of all three of these, the Kingsman is my favorite. I really enjoyed The Man from U.N.C.L.E., but the
Kingsman's a superior movie.
Kingsman blew me away. I
blew everybody away in one scene.
I had no idea what it was. I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
The Kingsman Secret Service. I was like, what is this?
I think everybody had that same feeling.
Yeah. I didn't see any. I don't even think I saw a trailer for it. I think I just picked it up one night and watched it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, this is so good.
Yeah.
Matthew
Vaughn is the director.
I would not say that it reminds me. The only similarity that I have is the fact that I had no idea what it was when I watched it.
Yeah.
So same with John Wick. I had no idea.
It came out of nowhere for sure.
I had no idea what John Wick was. I knew nothing about the movie, and I just was told. I think maybe you told me, or something. I can't remember who it was that told me. They were like, "You need to watch John Wick," and I was like, "What is it?" It's like it's a Keanu Reeves movie. And I was
you definitely told me to watch John Wick, so
yeah.
it was the other way around. So I don't know who told you.
Yeah,
who's talking to you, Eric?
Right, who's whispering in my ear?
So good, yeah, very good movies. Maybe we dive into Man from U.N.C.L.E. at some point, because I would like to.
That'd be a good Presents show. Is better than it deserves.
Yeah, that's
or
for sure.
Something like that. Like
something
we
like
should do
that,
a show on like movies that are better than
the showing. Yeah, better than something. We'll figure it out. Good idea though, Eric. I like it. All right, then in 1989 we had some People Afraid of Water movies.
Yeah.
Leviathan, Deep Star 6, and then an absolute classic from Mr. James Cameron, The Abyss. The Abyss is the only one that is anywhere near my memory.
Okay, so So Leviathan, if I remember right, was Peter Weller. I think, and then Deep Star 6. So okay, Leviathan and Deep Star 6, to me, I know we don't have horror movies on here, but
Peter Weller, yep.
They are horror movies to some extent.
Yeah.
Because there is a monster in Leviathan and there's a monster in Deep Star 6. And
the Abyss is just scary.
And the Abyss is a James Cameron movie that's probably his most underrated film that he's ever done, like,
for sure.
And really it was just an excuse for him to use little submarines and get under the water, but you know, like now he doesn't
get a budget for this. Okay,
now he doesn't even try and hide it, but
but
I remember the Abyss stuff. So Leviathan, Deep Star 6 was not good. Leviathan was actually a decent movie, and I like Peter Weller, so that was actually a pretty decent film. The Abyss, on the other hand, I can remember they did this. I think it was did this behind the scenes summer thing where they were talking about the upcoming movies for 1989, and it was like Batman, The Abyss, and something else. I can't remember what it was, but there was like three big.
There's a big action movie, I'm sure. I feel like there's a big action movie from '89.
Yeah, or maybe it's was it The Last Crusade? It might be The Last Crusade. Indiana Jones. I think that was 89, wasn't it?
Ooh, that feels late for Indy.
I think the Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade was we have to look up movies from 89. That might be a great movie.
Wow, there's some really great ones. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Batman, 89. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Major League.
Yeah.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh my gosh.
Ghostbusters 2, Roadhouse, Dead Poets Society, Lethal Weapon 2, Parenthood, Field of Dreams, Look Who's Talking, The Little Mermaid, Uncle Buck, Turner and Hooch, The Burbs, Steel Magnolias, Pet Sematary, License to Kill, Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
Tango and Cash.
Roadhouse. Always.
Batman
is 89. Did you see Always with Richard Dreyfuss? That's a great drama. Kickboxer. Yeah, 89. We should definitely put 89 on the
there. You know, you could probably just start just going down the chronological list of years, because there's a lot of good movie years. The next dishonorable mention, Babe and Gordy. For some reason, pigs were a big thing in 1995 and 96. Yeah. Babe was the better movie. Gordy was the movie where the pig talked. You know, like that's how you can describe those two.
I knew Babe. I know Babe was like, I think I was working at the video store when Babe came out, because I remember people would watch. Yeah, 95.
Yeah,
I remember people were coming all the time. Can we get?
It was a big movie. How many
more copies of Babe do you have due back tonight? Like,
it was a big movie.
Yeah. I never watched it.
And then I think he runs away in the second one.
Yeah.
And then
there's a sandwich in the third one.
10 years after the big water movies of 1989, you had Deep Blue Sea and Lake Placid in 1999.
Who can forget Betty White feeding the alligator in Lake Placid? Like, that's just the greatest. That's just the greatest thing ever.
I would take Lake Placid 1,000 times over Deep Blue Sea.
I don't even really remember Deep Blue Sea, but I think we were talking about this earlier. I like Deep Blue Sea. It was like they tried to make a serious, scary movie out of this one,
right.
Or like whatever. Whereas Lake Placid did not take itself seriously.
It was more fun.
I feel like they did. Yeah, it was just more fun.
Yeah.
But at Bill Pullman, love Bill Pullman. He's great. Bridget Fonda, not so much. I was never really a big fan of her. Oliver Platt, though, I do like Oliver Platt and stuff. He's usually pretty good.
90s Oliver Platt's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. And then, of course, Betty White. And like I said, her feeding that gigantic.
I mean, Betty
crocodile.
White is good in everything, so
Oh my
really
gosh,
great.
she's so good. Yeah.
Then there was a lot of Mars stuff that was happening in the world in the late 90s, and then so in 2000s we got Red Planet and we got Mission to Mars. Both movies flops.
Yep. Never watched either one of them, so I got nothing.
I think Red Planet was supposed to be a big movie, but
Red Planet was with Val Kilmer, right?
Yeah, it was an unfortunate flop.
Yeah. It happens.
And then one year Hollywood was like, let's make 2 Churchill movies.
Yeah, right.
And you got Churchill and Darkest Hour. Darkest Hour was up for some Academy Awards. Gary Oldman was up for Best Actor.
Yep.
The Churchill, the other Churchill is just, why can't I think of, I just lost his name.
Well, I can tell you, I loved, I love,
it was Brian Cox.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Gary Oldman. Like, I remember
he's
walking
never not
out,
good.
I remember
he's never
walking
not great.
out of, it was called The Professional at the time. I think they changed the name since then to Leon, but, but I walked out of the theater after watching The Professional and thinking to myself that Gary Oldman was a tremendous villain in that movie. Like, he was so good. He's clearly insane, clearly insane. And but everybody listens to him, and his acting was so good. The scene where he takes that pill and he you could just see him and then he's killing the whole family, just it's just oh my gosh, he just was so good in that. And then I did watch him in Darkest Hour, and again, he just is so
he's never not
amazing.
Great. I mean, the guy he signs up as Commissioner Gordon, and he embodies Commissioner Gordon. He did the mustache, he did the glasses. It's Commissioner Gordon.
He is, yeah.
It doesn't. It's not you could put. I mean, the Commissioner Gordon I grew up with in the movies didn't do anything until Batman and Robin, and it was a, he just kind of always was there as a character to introduce Batman or something to
right.
But his Commissioner Gordon was great, and it really embodied the one from the comics. And the mustache was so good.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of actor Gary Oldman is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna become Commissioner Gordon, and I'm gonna embody this character. But I'll also make it my own at the same time. He
takes the craft seriously. He no matter what you put him in, he's gonna take it seriously and give you just an amazing performance. And I remember I don't know did you see Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy? Did you see that one?
I was not a fan of that one.
He was really great in that one though.
I felt like that was one of the most boring movies. I was so hyped for that one. It had a great trailer. So it's a big it's a spy movie. It's like a classic spy movie, and maybe that's not the. I feel like the trailer sold me on something different going in. It was okay, this, and then it didn't perform well either. So maybe that's We talked about a trailer today that was.
He did win an Oscar. He did win an Oscar for The Finest Hour. So that. He was great in.
He's great in everything. That's the thing.
Did you see Bram Stoker's Dracula with him?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a movie I've missed him in. He's one of those actors you have to watch.
Harvey Oswald.
Oh yeah,
that he played Harvey in JFK.
And JFK with Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
All right, we'll wrap this up as 2 hours in.
2 hours. Yeah, I just looked at that. I was like, oh my gosh. 2 hours. Thanks for listening. God bless you people if you've hung in here for 2 hours on you. I mean, hopefully not in one sitting.
I mean, yeah, listen to this in spurts. I know I'm going to, because I've got things to do in life.
Right. Yeah.
I can only get my podcast stuff in 20 minutes at a time anyway. So thank you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. This is a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, because it's an interesting, it's very interesting to think, why Hollywood did you decide on this, or how does this even get approved? And again, most of the time, one of the movies is far superior. It's very rare that both of them are bangers. And so, it's a good debate, Armageddon versus Deep Impact, which one's the better one? And I honestly, it's maybe just relative to how you're feeling. So,
what are you in the mood for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have enjoyed this very much, Erik. Thank you all. If you've enjoyed this as well, please press that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, hit the bell for notifications when we post on YouTube. And if you're not a YouTube person, you can find us on all the major podcast services. So with that being said, Erik here, if that is your real name, we'll see you all on the next The Nerd Rundown presents.
See ya. Bye.